Viktor Petrov had spent 30 years designing nuclear safety systems, retiring peacefully to his dacha outside Kiev. But on April 26, 1986, at 1:23 a.m., when Reactor 4 exploded at Chernobyl, this 62-year-old engineer would make a phone call that sentenced him to death. Some heroes don't wear capes. They wear hazmat suits that can't protect them from what they're about to face. Viktor Petrov's weathered hands carefully pruned the roses in his small garden, the morning sun warming his face. At 62, he's been retired for 3 years, spending his days tending his dacha 30 kilometers outside Kiev with his wife Anya. These same hands once designed cooling systems for the Chernobyl nuclear power plant, drew blueprints that were supposed to make the RBMK reactor safe. Viktor? She's 60, still beautiful with silver hair, the woman who waited for him through countless late nights at the plant. They have 2 children, Dmitry, 35, a doctor in Moscow, and Katya, 32, a teacher in Kiev with 2 young daughters. Viktor's grandchildren, Svetlana and Irina, visit every weekend, filling the dacha with laughter. "Dedushka, tell us about the big machines again," 7-year-old Svetlana always asks. "The reactors, they're like giant kettles, making steam to create electricity for everyone. Are they dangerous? Not if you respect them, Malashka. Not if you build them right." But Viktor knows better. He spent years arguing with Soviet bureaucrats about design flaws in the RBMK 1000 reactor. The control rods, the positive void coefficient, the lack of proper containment. His reports were ignored, filed away, dismissed as pessimistic Western thinking. "Comrade Petrov, the reactor is perfectly safe," his supervisor told him repeatedly. "Your concerns are noted but unnecessary." Viktor retired in 1983, frustrated but relieved to leave the politics behind. He'd done his job, raised his concerns, designed the best safety systems possible within the constraints given. Now he could garden, play with grandchildren, enjoy the peace he'd earned. April 26, 1986, starts like any other Saturday. Viktor works in the garden while Anya prepares for Katya's visit later. The girls are coming for the weekend. At 2:15 p.m. the phone rings. Viktor answers, dirt still on his hands. "Viktor Petrov?" An official voice, tense. "Yes, this is Deputy Director Bryukhanov from Chernobyl plant. We have a situation. We need you to come immediately." Viktor's blood runs cold. "What kind of situation?" "There was an incident last night. Reactor 4. We need experienced engineers who know the RBMK design." "How bad?" A pause. "Bad. Very bad. Can you come?" Viktor looks out the window at Anya humming in the kitchen, at his peaceful garden, at the life he's built. Every instinct screams to say no. He's retired. This isn't his problem anymore. What happened exactly? "The reactor. It exploded. The core is exposed. We need people who understand the systems to help contain it. The core is exposed." Viktor's mind races through the implications. Graphite fire, radioactive materials released, contamination spreading, and they're calling him because the young engineers don't fully understand the old RBMK design. "I'll be there in 2 hours." He hangs up. Anya appears in the doorway. "Who was that?" "The plant. There's been an accident. They need me." "Viktor, you're retired. Let the young engineers handle it. The young engineers don't know the systems like I do. If the core is exposed, he doesn't finish." Anya understands enough about his work to know what that means. How dangerous is this? Viktor considers lying. Instead, he tells the truth. "Very dangerous, potentially fatal." "Then don't go. You've given enough years to that place. If I don't go, they'll send young technicians who don't understand the risks. Boys with families, whole lives ahead of them. I'm 62, Anya. I've lived my life. And what about me? What about Dmitry and Katya, your granddaughters? That's exactly why I have to go. If this isn't contained, the contamination could reach Kiev, could reach here." The girls. Anya's face crumbles, but she understands. After 40 years of marriage, she knows her husband, knows his stubbornness, his sense of duty, his inability to ignore a problem he might solve. "At least wait for Katya. Say goodbye properly. There isn't time. Tell her Dedushka had to fix one more thing." Viktor packs a small bag, clean clothes, his engineering notebooks, photographs of his family. He knows, though he doesn't say it, that he might not come back. At the door, Anya holds him tightly. "Come back to me, Viktor. I'll try, Lubov Moya. I'll try." The drive to Chernobyl takes 2 hours. As Viktor gets closer, he sees helicopters overhead, military vehicles on the roads. This is much worse than Bryukhanov suggested. At the plant, the scene is chaos. Firefighters being loaded into ambulances, their skin red and blistered, scientists in inadequate protection gear running between buildings, and looming over everything, Reactor 4, its roof blown off, smoke and steam rising into the clear spring sky. Brukhanov meets him at the entrance, looking haggard. Petrov, thank God. We need someone who knows the cooling systems. Tell me everything. Last night, during a safety test, the reactor became unstable. There were 2 explosions. The roof is gone. The core is burning. We're trying to pump water to cool it, but the water is evaporating instantly and making things worse, Viktor finishes. He'd predicted this exact scenario in reports written years ago. Yes, we need advice on alternative cooling methods, and we need someone to go near the reactor to assess the damage to the suppression systems. How near? Very near. The radiation levels are extreme. How extreme? Brukhanov hands him a dosimeter reading. Viktor's hands shake as he reads it. 15,000 roentgens per hour near the reactor core. A lethal dose is 500 roentgens total. Anyone going near that will be dead within weeks. You're asking someone to commit suicide. I'm asking for volunteers. We have young technicians willing to go, but they don't know what to look for. They might waste their exposure on useless observations. Viktor understands immediately. Young men, brave but inexperienced, will sacrifice themselves gathering wrong information. But an experienced engineer, someone who knows every pipe, every valve, every system, that person could gather crucial intelligence in minutes that might save thousands of lives. I'll go. Viktor, are you certain? You understand the exposure? I designed those systems. I know exactly what to look for. Give me a radiation suit and proper dosimeter. The suits won't help much at those levels. They're designed for normal plant operations, not this. I know, but they'll help psychologically. 2 hours later, Viktor stands in a lead-line suit that weighs 30 kilograms, holding a notebook and high-range dosimeter. With him are 2 young engineers, Leonid and Pavel, both volunteers despite Viktor's protests. You should stay back, Viktor tells them. I can do this alone. With respect, Comrade Petrov. You're 62. You'll need help carrying equipment, says Leonid, barely 25. And someone to verify your observations, adds Pavel, 23. Viktor wants to order them back, but he knows they're right. The work needs multiple people, and these boys are volunteers, understanding the cost. They approach Reactor 4 from the north side, dosimeters clicking faster with each step. The sound becomes a continuous shriek as they get within 50 meters. Viktor's training takes over, pushing away fear. He observes, takes notes, photographs damage with a radiation-hardened camera. The cooling pipes are severed. The suppression pool is breached. Water pumping is indeed making it worse, creating steam that spreads contamination. We need sand and boron, Viktor mutters, taking notes. Smother the graphite fire. Absorb the neutrons. They work for 17 minutes. Viktor carefully documents everything, which systems are intact, which are destroyed, what approaches might work. Leonid takes radiation readings at different points. Pavel photographs structural damage. When they retreat, Viktor's dosimeter shows he received 840 roentgens. Leonid took 620, Pavel 580, all lethal doses. Back in the operations center, Viktor delivers his findings to the crisis committee. Stop pumping water. You're creating radioactive steam. Use helicopters to drop sand, boron, lead and clay. Smother the fire from above, then drill relief tunnels beneath to install cooling systems that won't create steam. How long will this take? Weeks, maybe months. But it's the only way to prevent a complete meltdown that could contaminate half of Europe. An army general objects. We need faster solutions. Every hour, more radiation escapes. Every hour your helicopters drop sand and boron is an hour preventing catastrophic meltdown. Viktor responds, I've given you the engineering solution. Now you need courage to implement it. Over the next week, Viktor serves as chief technical advisor. Despite his exposure, he knows he's dying. The nausea started on day 2, hair falling out by day 4, but he has knowledge others need. Young helicopter pilots make hundreds of drops over the exposed reactor, receiving massive radiation doses. Viktor calculates drop patterns to maximize coverage. Miners arrive to dig tunnels beneath the reactor, working in shifts in horrific conditions. How are you still standing? Asks Dr. Orlov, the medical supervisor, on day 6. I have work to finish. Viktor, your white blood cell count is crashing. You should be in a hospital. Put me in a hospital when the reactor is entombed. Not before. On day 7, Anya appears at the plant, somehow bypassing security. She finds Viktor in the command center, looking gaunt and gray. You're coming home. Anya, I can't. Not yet. Viktor, Dmitri called. He's a doctor. He says from your symptoms, you have days, maybe a week. Come home. Die in your bed. Not this place. If I leave now, mistakes will be made. People will die who don't have to. You're already dead. Let it be enough. Viktor takes her hands gently. Remember our wedding vows, for better or worse, in sickness and health. This is the worst, Anya. This is the sickness, but this is also my purpose. I built this place. I wrote reports they ignored. Now I have to help fix it. I can't lose you. You lost me when I took that first exposure, but I can still make it mean something. Let me do that, please. Anya leaves crying, but she understands. She's always understood. By day 12, the reactor fire is nearly out, smothered under thousands of tons of sand and boron. Viktor has supervised the entire operation from the command center, despite being barely able to stand. Leonid and Pavel, the 2 young engineers who went with him, are both in Moscow hospitals, dying but expected to live a few more weeks. They'll die hating me, Viktor tells Dr. Orlov. They volunteered. They were children. I should have ordered them back. They saved lives.
just like you. That means something. On day 15, Viktor finally consents to hospitalization. They fly him to Moscow, to the same hospital treating other exposed workers. Dmitry meets him there, his doctor's son, trying to stay professional while his father dies. How long? Viktor asks. Days. Maybe a week if you're strong. I've never been strong, just stubborn. Katya visits with the girls. Svetlana, 7 years old, doesn't understand why Dedushka looks so sick. Did you fix the big machine? Yes, Malishka. It's safe now. When are you coming home? Viktor looks at Katya, who's crying silently. Soon, sweet one. Soon. After they leave, Anya sits by his bed. Was it worth it? Viktor considers. They're saying thousands would have died if the core had fully melted down. Contamination would have reached Kiev, maybe Moscow. So yes, unpleasant calculus. But yes, I'm still angry at you for going. I know. I'm sorry. No, you're not. You'd do it again. Yes, I would. Over the next days, Viktor drifts in and out of consciousness. During lucid moments, he receives visitors, young engineers from Chernobyl, thanking him for guidance, government officials, awarding him medals he'll never wear, Dr. Orlov, checking on him as both patient and friend. Leonid died yesterday. Orlov tells him gently, tell his family I'm sorry. He was so young. His wife said to tell you he was proud, that he understood why it had to be him. His wife is kind to lie. I don't think she's lying. Pavel dies 2 days later. Viktor attends neither funeral. He's too weak to leave the hospital. On his final day, Viktor's family gathers. Dmitry, Katya, Anya, the granddaughters. He can barely speak, but he tries. Dmitry, take care of your mother. I will, Papa. Katya, tell the girls. Tell them Dedushka loved them. They know, Papa. We all know. Anya, I'm here, Viktor. I'm here. I'm sorry I left you alone. You did what you had to. I've never doubted that. Was I a good husband? The best. Stubborn. Impossible, but the best. Viktor smiles weakly. Stubborn. Yes, that's accurate. He closes his eyes for the last time on May 14, 1986, 18 days after the explosion. His death certificate lists acute radiation syndrome as cause of death. At his funeral, an unexpected crowd gathers. Young engineers he mentored, plant workers he trained, even helicopter pilots who made the drops he calculated, and 3 families, the families of firefighters who died in the initial response, who would have had no guidance without Viktor's expertise. A government official gives a eulogy about heroism and sacrifice. Dmitry gives a more honest one about his father's stubbornness, his inability to walk away from problems, his quiet certainty that he could help. My father wasn't a saint, Dmitry says. He was a man who saw a problem only he could solve, and refused to let age, fear, or common sense stop him. I'm angry at him for leaving us, but I'm proud of why he left. Anya doesn't speak. She places a rose on the casket, a rose from the garden Viktor was tending the morning he got the call. Years later, when the full story of Chernobyl emerges, Viktor Petrov becomes a footnote, one of the Chernobyl liquidators who contained the disaster. His name appears on memorials, in history books, in documentaries. But the real legacy isn't in history books. It's in the thousands of people who didn't die because the core was contained. It's in Kiev, which wasn't evacuated. It's in the half of Europe that wasn't contaminated. Leonid's widow names her son Viktor. Pavel's father, also an engineer, writes a memoir about his son's sacrifice, dedicating it to Viktor Petrov, who taught my boy that engineering is ultimately about protecting lives. Svetlana, Viktor's granddaughter, becomes a nuclear engineer. When asked why, she says simply, my grandfather showed me that engineers don't just build things. Sometimes, they save things. I want to do both. On the 25th anniversary of the disaster, a small monument is erected near Reactor 4, now safely entombed in a massive sarcophagus. It lists the names of the liquidators who died containing the disaster. Viktor Petrov's name is near the top. Anya, now 90, attends the ceremony. Dmitry pushes her wheelchair. Katya walks beside them with Svetlana, now 32 and working on modern reactor designs that incorporate lessons from Chernobyl. Do you ever regret that he went? Svetlana asks her grandmother. Anya thinks for a long moment. Every day. But I understand why. Your grandfather had a gift for knowing exactly what needed to be done, and an annoying inability to let someone else do it. Would he be proud of me, working in nuclear engineering? Terrified and proud. In that order. They stand before Viktor's name on the monument. Around them are other families, other widows, other children who lost fathers to radiation. How many people did the liquidators save? Asks Irina, Svetlana's younger sister. Hundreds of thousands, maybe millions, Dmitry answers. The projections if the core had fully melted down were catastrophic. Was it worth it? Their lives for strangers? Dmitry looks at his mother. Anya speaks. Your grandfather would say yes without hesitation. And that's exactly why I loved him, and why I'm still angry at him. Viktor Petrov didn't set out to be a hero. He set out to be a good engineer, a good husband, a good father. He succeeded at all 3, though the first cost him the other 2. His final shift lasted 18 days and cost him everything. But it saved a continent. Some heroes charge into burning buildings. Some throw themselves on grenades. Viktor Petrov walked into radiation that would kill him slowly, painfully, inevitably, because he was the right person, with the right knowledge, at the right time. And sometimes, that's what heroism looks like. Not dramatic sacrifice, but quiet certainty. Not youth and vigor, but age and wisdom. Not glory, but duty. In his final lucid moment, Viktor told Anya, I always worried I wasted my career fighting ignored safety reports. Turns out, I was training for one final shift. The final shift of Viktor Petrov proved that sometimes the most important work comes after retirement, that knowledge earned over a lifetime can save lives in moments, and that true courage is knowing exactly how much something will cost and doing it anyway. His garden grew wild without him. Anya couldn't bear to tend it alone. But every spring, the roses he planted bloom, red as the fire he walked into, beautiful as the life he chose to end to save others. That's legacy. Not monuments or medals, but roses that bloom, engineers who build safely, and millions of people who never knew how close they came to catastrophe because an old man chose duty over survival.